What's going on, beautiful people? It's Monday, March 4th, or for those that are listening on the DSP, it's Tuesday, March 5th, and we're here to talk sports. We'll do so every Tuesday. Shout outs to everyone that is watching us on YouTube. We need to get those numbers up. They are low as hell. I will be completely honest, so we need to get them up. So we're just talking about that. We got some very interesting stuff to talk about today. We're gonna have a little fun with some of the things that we've come across on the internet, and a game that Harrison has introduced that we will be going over today, which would be really, really fun. We are down a man today in Sam, but again, as I just mentioned, Harrison is here with us for episode 126 of the Chasing Points podcast. Harrison, welcome back. How are you, man?
I'm good. Ready to get going. Just the two of us today.
Just the two of us.
Real cozy.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have a good time.
I didn't like the tone of that, but we'll just roll with that. Didn't like that tone at all, but okay, cool. Let's get into the NBA. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Celtics absolutely assaulted, I think is the best word to say what they did to the Warriors on Jason Tatum's 26th birthday. Ironically, he scored 27 points on his 26th birthday. When asked after if he thought they were going to blow him out that bad, he said no, but I definitely wanted the win for my birthday. For those that weren't aware of what the score was, it was 140-88. There is a 50-point gap at one point in time in the game, and Steve Kerr pulled out all of his starters and put in second and essentially third string players at that point, and just said, have at it from there, which I think was beneficial for both teams because they were able to rest their starters and allow them to get some playing time that they wouldn't actually get during the regular season. But I guess I'll ask you, it's a two-part question for you.
Okay. Love that.
One, what is your thoughts on this blowout? All right. What do you think it means for the Warriors? And from the Celtics perspective, do you think this was a warning shot to the rest of the league?
Well, we'll go the first one. So what was the first one?
What was your... Now I got to remember the question I asked you.
I'm bad at two-parters. Let's go one at a time.
Basically, what's your thoughts on the Warriors getting blown out like this? And how do you think this fares for them going forward?
I think it kind of keeps them the same, or maybe a little bit of a tailspin, but they've kind of been that way. They're up and down. They quite don't have the talent that they used to. The talent that they do have is getting older, and they are where they are. They're obviously the ninth seed in the West. They've struggled a bit all year. To have this like margin of difference is massive. But obviously, they're still fighting for that play-in game. They'll still continue to do so. They're talented enough for the middle of the pack, but that's what I've seen them as all year. Their window has closed. It's just it's shut. It's been shut. So for those that didn't recognize it's been shut, I don't know why, but it has been shut. Clay is a shell of himself. Draymond's still very good, still, always underrated for what he does for the team.
Yeah.
And Steph is just getting older as well. Like, obviously he's still, a top 5 player in this league, maybe right on that outside fringe. But he doesn't have it every single night anymore like he used to. So he has some off nights, and obviously the whole starting 5, the whole team had an off night tonight. So they're going to take it in stride. But we'll get to your second part. I'll just go right into it. The Celtics are an absolute wagon. They're 8.5 games ahead of the pace in the East. Defensively, they're a monster. Offensively, they get the job done. And they have a lot of weapons. So I expect this of them, not 50-point, win territory, but, a territory where they're going to win comfortably on most nights against any given team. And then, I love the back and forth, or, Steve Kerr saying, playing off Jaylen Brown. Sometimes you got to pick your spots and pick your strategy. And Jaylen Brown tweeting back, more teams should try this strategy. But, he had a good night. And they're going to continue to have good nights because they're, at the peak of their powers. And this is their window now. So, kind of aligned with where those teams are. For it to happen on national TV and for the Warriors to get blown out that way is tough. But there's a lot of nights in the NBA, and some teams just don't have it some nights.
So I agree with what you said. There's several points I agree with what you said. You did say a lot, and I have a lot that while you were saying it, kind of started to conjure some things up for me. So
Sure.
for those that don't remember, who the Celtics lost to in the NBA Finals was this exact team.
Mhm.
And they made it. This is why I think it was a bigger point. It's still a regular season, which the Warriors know you don't win championships during the regular season, as they've obviously been there so many times. Obviously, you use these games to get to the postseason and whatnot and get yourself in a certain position. But I'm Harrison, I'm always hard pressed to say that their window is closed, because each time we say their window is closed, they just come out and prove us wrong.
It's
So
close.
I don't want to. I feel that way, but then when you watch this young man Kuminga come out of absolutely, they get rid of Jordan Poole. Kuminga comes in and he's just absolutely a monster, which is probably going to be the next version of the Warriors, because Steph is still doing what he has to do. Again, as you said, Klay is a shell of himself. Draymond is the true point guard of the Golden State Warriors, and I've always been wanting. I'm glad that you're on while I'm saying this, because I've said it in private to some people. If you're really paying attention, Steph Curry really is the shooting guard of the Golden State Warriors. I understand
Absolutely.
They say he's the point guard by position, but he is truly a shooting guard on that team, because Draymond runs the ball up the court and narrates where it's going to go. For the Celtics, I do believe that the way that they've been playing at home has been nuts. They're establishing, if you're coming in here, you're not going to leave with a W.
No.
And it's funny to me that when Joe Mazzulla, what was it, last season, that people didn't know what was going to happen after Ime, was let go and whatnot, and people basically saying that Mazzulla wasn't it. And look at this team now. They've gotten some pieces. People were worried about what was going to happen with Marcus Smart going, and honestly, getting Porzingis and getting Holiday, I said, who cares that Marcus Smart is gone? Yes, Porzingis is always injured, but if he can stay healthy and be healthy for the right times, and then you have that defense with Drew, nuts, like absolutely nuts. So I think they right now have solidified where they stand in the NBA. And I know that the Thunder are the 1 seed in the West, but with the experience that the Celtics had, because this team has been to the finals, run through this, I put the Celtics right now as the 1 seed overall of everybody. And I don't even know if their record is their record better than the Thunder?
Oh yeah, they're 48-12. The Thunder are 42-18. They're clearly the class of the league. Clearly. The Nuggets are defending champs, so you have to put them there. Their record isn't quite that. But the Celtics are clearly the one. They're the one. And if we don't get a Celtics and Bucks Eastern Conference Finals, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Yeah, I will be too. I will be too. It needs to happen somehow, some way. You guys last week, I believe you and Sam both chose the Knicks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, if I remember correctly. Well,
no. I picked. Did I? I thought I had Bucks and Celtics.
Maybe that might have been it. That might have been Bucks and Celtics. Yeah, I think Sam had the Knicks.
Sam had the Knicks, I think.
Yeah. As a Knicks fan would. So the Knicks played this weekend, and watching what happened to Jalen Brunson, it's crazy, Harrison. I had my TV on for this game, and it was still what was it, the NBA Today or whatever the hell it is, with Malika and Stephen A and whatever. And on YouTube TV, like if you change or you turn the TV and you go back or you come back and turn YouTube TV on the app, it stays where it was last and it continues to go. So I'm sitting there and just like, I'm getting updates on my phone. I'm like, Jalen Brunson's down. I was like, how are people saying this? I was like, the game's not. I was like, oh shit. So I had to fast forward, and then I saw everything that transpired and then watch what happened. The craziest part to me about his knee contusion was they came out with reports that he was questionable for coming back. The only questionable thing is whoever reported that it was questionable was you, to think that Jalen Brunson was going to come back. So I know we don't know the severity of it at this point in time. I know it's just a knee contusion, but it's something that lingers and will most likely linger for the rest of the season. What are your thoughts on how this will affect the Knicks that are already banged up?
I think they'll be fine. Like what I'm seeing, obviously knee contusion, no MRI needed. Kind of like the scare we had with Anthony Edwards earlier this week, where it looked like an Achilles and it was just an ankle, and then he's back out there for the second half. I think Jalen Brunson will come back pretty quickly. He's been a warrior throughout his whole career. He's sort of an Iron Man in that sense. So I don't really see this kind of hurting them too much. Obviously, it's going to be a blip. But right now, they are 4th in the East. They're 3.5 games back of the Cavs. I think they'll stay around that 4 or 5 range. The Sixers are right behind them, but the Sixers also have their own injury problems. And then the Magic are right there, too, and they're a young team. So I think they'll stay kind of right there, 4, 5, 6, and I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be, if they can get healthy at the right time. They're obviously a tough out. When fully healthy, they are, right up there with the Bucks, not quite with the Celtics, but they've had some battles with the Celtics this year. So, I'm still riding the Knicks wagon. I think they'll be fine. I don't want to sound the alarms quite yet.
Okay, fair. I was just curious. I'm glad you mentioned the Sixers. I just wanted to touch on this real quick. The way that Maxey has been playing, and more so the way that Tobias Harris has been playing, which is he is such a I don't even know. Like, he's like the mystery piece. He is the mystery starburst of the pack, because you have no idea what this dude is going to bring. He has the talent, and then you just don't see it sometimes. And then, like right now, he turns it on and is like, okay, now I see why they were giving you that money before. But also, isn't he in a contract year?
I don't know if he's in a contract year, but I think it's simply for Tobias, just the shot attempts, like getting the touches. I mean, he's always been kind of relegated to that 3rd or 4th option. When he is the 2nd option, and when he gets 20 shots a game, he's going to score. He's a super talented player, and he's super underrated. Like, yes, sometimes he's hit or miss, but that's why he's a 2nd or 3rd option, and then kind of masquerading now as a 4th, with whatever the Sixers roll out. But now he has to be. So he's getting shot attempts. Maxey, a great scorer, doesn't get credit enough for how he facilitates. Like, he's one of the top point guards in the league. He's fantastic. I love Tyrese too. Yep, I love Tyrese. When he came out, he reminded me of my favorite player, Damian Lillard. So, he's showing that now. He's growing into what he is supposed to be on the right timeline. So, they're going to be tough to compete with too. If Embiid gets back before the end of the season, like he's saying he's aiming for. Sixers have the talent. That Buddy Hield trade was a solid one. To replace some shooting on the outside. Then you got Maxey, Hield, Tobias, and Embiid. I like that team. So I don't want to sound the alarms on the Sixers yet. They hung around. They've been hanging around without Embiid, and that's a good job by them.
I agree. I just, for me with the Sixers, it just all hangs on Embiid.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Even when he comes back, it still hangs on Embiid, because we know Embiid in Anthony Davis and a couple other players are the exact same. They are so fragile and break like that, right? So I'm not saying that it's easy to play the way that they play, but these guys are always injury prone, and they are key pieces to their team. They literally are the factor if their team will advance or not.
It's tough for big men now, with the way the game is spread out, the way, you got 5-out shooters, they got to move a lot, they get banged a lot. Being a big man nowadays is super, super tough. That's why Jokic is so incredible. All right,
true. He also
obviously
it's crazy because he slow plays everything, which is so wild. So wild. He doesn't do anything flashy,
Golden
but
State
he kills.
And Shaq,
absolutely kills.
Just because I think, the shooting from the
outside. That's a great segue. We just talked about Jokic.
The most dominant.
He's going to be involved in this conversation.
Is probably a tough one.
I was sent
a
picture
82 games and a playoff series
from my brother.
My
Kyle.
Second pick would probably be
sends
the Lakers.
Me a picture and he's like, I think this would be a good conversation.
I just have one knock there, and it's kind of Anthony Davis's health throughout a whole season.
As soon as I saw the picture, I said, man,
down
this
the
is
line,
very, very
the Nuggets
interesting.
With
So,
MJ,
to paint the picture for you guys,
I
it
like
is
that team as well. Obviously,
the Golden State Warriors, and in the picture, it is Steph and Clay.
And how
so
he stacks up
basically,
with these other
everybody's
greats.
in their prime.
Jamal Murray
just to be very, very clear what you're saying.
I don't think he's
very,
there
very
quite
clear.
yet.
Everybody's in their prime.
How he stacks up with
so
the rest
Steph
of the
and
people
Clay,
in this lineup. I just
and
have
you're adding
questions.
Shaq.
And then I really don't have a knock
Lakers,
for the Bucks with
right?
Dame,
It's
Giannis,
LeBron
and
and AD.
I just think Golden
and
State
you're adding
Shaq is
Larry
a little
Bird.
bit stronger. So they're
and for the Nuggets, it is Jamal Murray, Jokic, and you're adding Michael Jordan. And there's also, wasn't there another one? Oh, it's Dame and Giannis, and you're adding Kobe. Okay, so
all right. So what's the parameters? Is it like 1 game, 7 games? What are we talking?
who's winning the chip? Who's winning
so going
who's
through
winning it all?
going through a whole season.
Yep. Who's winning it all?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
So the two for me that I've gone back and forth with is the Golden State Warriors with Shaq and the Bucks with Kobe. Those are the two teams that I went back and forth. And for very similar reasons as you. Actually, the exact same reasons as you. Obviously, Jordan is a factor in himself, but Jamal Murray is the weak link there. I think with Jordan and Jokic, that'd absolutely be crazy. But thinking about those other names and those other teams that we mentioned, and Jamal Murray's out there, like he's great, but I don't think he's in that stratosphere yet. When it comes to the Golden State Warriors with Shaq, the reason why they're like edging out the Bucks, not by much for me. I think they're edging them out because you have the greatest shooter of all time, and you have arguably the greatest big man of all time. So you have to run out and guard Steph, and as we've talked about, as soon as you walk over half court, Steph's in range. All right? So as soon as you walk over half court, Steph's in range. Then you have Clay in his prime, who could also shoot damn near anywhere as soon as you walked over half court. And he's also one of the best two-way players when he was in his prime. So he can guard damn near anybody on the court on top of that. Steph's defense, as we know, has been a little sketchy. But then you have Shaq, that if they then miss a shot, you have Shaq to clean up the boards and say, get out the way. I got the rest of this, right? So just thinking of that, that's why I feel that I favor that team. But the reason why
I think we're aligned there. Like
Bucks
obviously all in their prime, it makes a lot of sense.
Giannis
I'm
is
curious,
also in kind of the same light as Shaq. That
I would love to see that Shaq and Giannis matchup, or how that plays out.
You're not stopping.
Is this?
But
it
would be
obviously
interesting
5-on-5, right? So they have supporting cast.
Shaq head to head, right?
I think having Shaq is just a matchup nightmare for everyone involved.
But then you also have Dame.
I don't know how that works. It would be interesting to see like Shaq versus Jokic, and how like if Jokic can space the floor. And kind of get Shaq.
Kobe's an absolute menace
out in space.
He's going to figure
that
out
would be
a way.
interesting.
I mean, I just recently watched the story again.
Like you said, I think the Warriors, they proposed the biggest matchup problems for everyone involved.
After
and then with the Lakers, you got
Curry
LeBron,
himself,
obviously the greatest of all time, 40K, 10K assists, 10K rebounds. But who's guarding Shaq on that team? And then like LeBron and Bird
figured out
are
that
sort of redundant.
Like when you stood to the side of him when
they're
he was
similar, sort of, but
and
not
that was
really.
The way to
but
throw
they're
Steph
playing
off.
the same position,
and that's how he threw Steph off the whole entire game. It's a really
good
hypothetical.
Kobe is
that type of person.
That's one of the better ones I've seen.
You
see all the memes all the time, but this one
every single thing.
This one's pretty solid.
Your weakness, and that is scary as hell to have. But I'm with you. I have to take Golden State. I do. It's just really, really hard to go against the greatest shooter and to me, in my opinion, the greatest center of all time. So, yeah. Right. Yeah. Anybody, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I think they put, so I was talking to Kyle when he shared this with me, and I was like, honestly, I I would, if I chose, I would have put Magic, right? But I know why they put Larry. They put Larry because Larry's a shooter, right? You know what I mean? Like we know and think of Larry Bird as the shooter that
You
he
know what's
is,
funny
right?
about
So
Larry Bird?
it
He was only a
allows LeBron, as you
37%
said,
career three-point shooter.
with his passing ability to be
And
able to
I
do
say only,
whatever,
like that's
and
pretty
you
good.
can
But
hit to Bird in the wing. Like
Steph is
LeBron
like,
has won
what's
all of
Steph?
his
He
championships with
is 42. So
a
it's a little bit of a
knockdown
difference.
shooter, like
But
a
yeah,
guy
Larry
that
had
can,
that,
once he
in
can
his
do
prime
whatever he has
stretch,
to
he
do
was
and
shooting
he has the court
42,
vision,
42,
he has
40,
somebody
and
that he knows he
41.
can
So
pass off
it's
to the
funny how we
wing or the court on top of the key that
remember
can knock down
guys,
a shot.
especially
At
from
least
different eras and how
definitely
the
in
game was
his
played.
Miami days or
It's so
in his
wildly
Cleveland
different
days, for
from
sure. He
the
always had a
80s to
shooter
the
around
90s to
him.
2000s to
So I think that's why they
2010s
put
to now. Like
Bird, because in
every
my
10 years
opinion,
or
I
so,
would
the
put
game really does
Magic, even
reinvent
though a
itself a
lot of
little
people
bit.
compare
Enough so
LeBron
where,
and Magic
the
and
league
saying they're the
is
same
kind
type
of
of
worried
player.
now about the offensive
Yes and no,
explosion.
right? Because I think
But
LeBron is a better
interesting
shooter than Magic,
matchups.
but Magic sees the court way better than LeBron. I think Magic is one of the greatest people to ever hold a basketball, period. And what he did in his passes and whatnot, and being so
I'm fine.
creative and opening that space.
I'm
I
fine
just think
with it.
that Anthony Davis is, if
Break
fully
it.
healthy Anthony Davis, he'd be okay. But if we're talking a whole season, as we are,
Like
even
championship
in
or
his
just
prime,
like excited
he's
to
never
watch?
healthy. So, but also to your other
Excitement
point,
like a
Shaq,
12. Yeah,
Shaq
I'm
didn't
super hyped
play
for
in
the
the
season. I'm
era
super
of
hyped to
big men
see Juan
having
Soto
to
kind of
run out to
continue to
3-point
rake. I
line
think he's going to be great.
or moving around like that.
I'm
He
super
was
excited.
you
I'll
anchored down in
I'll
the
watch a
paint,
ton of Yankee games
and that's
this year.
where he
That's for
lives. So
sure.
that would be very, very interesting in itself to see how he would
You're
survive.
just going to go higher. This is like a Price is Right situation. You're just going
to. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
It does.
No. No. Yeah. No.
I agree. I definitely do agree. That was a good talk. I just wanted to bring this up because we talked about it, and I'm probably going to bring it up every episode because I'm just really, really excited about this. But Juan Soto is raking, and he's continues to rake, and he has 3 home runs in spring training. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you stand? Just excitement. I'm on a 20, because
Yeah, they'll be all right. The pitching will be for a while,
I was
but
gonna
I
say
think they
some
got guys
ridiculous
that can
number. I was
rake,
gonna say
guys that
I'm on
can
a
not just hit
million,
homers
but
either.
I'll just
Obviously
do
we've
20
been so
just to
home
play
run
safe
dependent.
and fair.
The Yankees have been so home run dependent
This
for a
is the
while.
most excited
so
I've
getting
been
some,
about the Yankees
more
in
kind of
such a
diversity
long
in the
time,
offense
and
will be
it just
huge.
feels
And then you never know what's at the
feels
trade
right
deadline, what
that
pitching
he's
is out
there.
there, who's getting bought out, stuff like that. So
Just the
very
vibe
excited.
that he's giving off, the
Gonna
vibe
watch
that
a
you're
ton of
seeing
games, that's
with
for sure.
Aaron Judge and him being welcoming. And I know there's
Yep.
stupid rumors out there by stupid Mets fans that they think Juan Soto is going to the Mets next year to join up with Pete Alonso over Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I absolutely believe that they're going to extend him. I believe he's going to feel right at home, especially he already understands the demographic. He understands, especially just right around the stadium of what the demographic is. And he has said it's already going to feel like home there. So that was the key term for me. But man, I'm seeing how these guys are playing, knowing that we have the young boys out here playing. My boy Spencer Jones is out here, been doing his thing. Jason Dominguez, the Martian's coming back soon. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm just waiting for Blake Snell to finally just, be like, yeah, I'll play for the Yankees, and just so we can add him to the rotation, because, it'd be great and be smart, and you get more money and all that stuff. So. Definitely. All right, just had to bring that up. I was just curious. So today there was two big football pieces today. One touched me more than the other for sure. Jason Kelce retires today. It pretty much was when I heard that he was making the announcements and he said no keg this year. I knew he wasn't coming back, because Nick Sirianni has essentially given him a K.
I'm kind of dumb.
For,
I thought he had retired or at the end of the season.
2 or 3 years.
So when I saw his press conference, I was like, oh, he didn't retire yet. But
because he knows
obviously
his way to his heart,
an amazing center, an amazing career. Much more
but
obviously
that,
in the limelight for the person he is.
And then I
thanks
saw
to the Eagles Super Bowl run
prior
and now
to
the
press
podcast
conference
with Travis.
The reserve seats.
Hats off to him. He's going to have a really successful post career. As Kelce,
whatever
he decides to do,
his coaches,
his
no
agent, one's smarter on the football field than a center.
Retired.
So
it's
where he
official.
ranks as the best center ever. I really
don't
know. I don't study
as an Eagles fan,
the rankings of centers very often, but you'd be hard pressed to find a better center than Jason Kelce has been for the Eagles for so long, and he's going to be missed for sure.
Not only to the team, but to the city, the fan base in general. He means so much, and he means a lot to football in general. He is very beloved even outside of the Eagles for the things that he does, tailgating and whatnot, and also has a huge podcast with Travis. So he's very, very well known throughout the league. I just it's going to suck replacing him. I know they drafted his replacement already, and it was picked by him, which was Cam Jernigan. So we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I want to hear what you have to say or your thoughts on him, and then I'll get to my question. Sure. So I went through centers when I wrote this question. And there's definitely some great centers in there, and I had to look at all their stats, and I think I'm going to run down.
Shout out to my Oreos.
Circle back to this for sure. But at this point in time, and this is, I swear, this is not me being a homer or like that. I'm just so serious with what he's done, and especially his story of not having any college offers, period, for D1. He walked on at Cincinnati. Then he worked his way into being drafted, and then was almost traded out of the Eagles. I think it was like 2014, because he was absolutely terrible during that season, but he realized that and whatnot. But then to turn around, win a Super Bowl, and have a Hall of Fame career, because he will be a future Hall of Famer. If he's not the top center, he's easily the top three.
Tough.
But again,
I mean, he's obviously
I will
been
see what the stats
a shell
are
of
for
what
sure
his
to really,
what he started
really
as.
see
But
if
that
I'm right
comes
or
with
wrong
age.
about
Like
that.
he's
But just
35
what I've
years
seen
old.
with
He's
my
been in the league for a
eyes
long time.
and
He didn't
how
have a
he was
bad
able
year
to
last
move and
year.
being
But
probably one of
you
the
know,
most
and but
athletic
that
centers, if
marriage was
not the
doomed
most
from
athletic center
not the
I've ever
start, but it just
seen
wasn't
in my
it.
whole entire
The
life.
first year he comes in,
I'm very
with a
intrigued
head
to see
coach
where
that
he
is
lands
horrendous,
for that.
and an offensive line that isn't very good, and then
Let's
every
get
single
to
one of his
one of
receivers
your
got injured
guys.
that year. So you can call these excuses or whatnot, but that's just the facts
So
of the
to
situation.
let everybody
And
know,
then this
Harrison
last year
is a fan
with
of
Sean
all
Payton, they
biracial
obviously didn't mesh
athletes
like
or anybody
people
that
thought they
shares the
would.
same tone.
So and then you still got
pigmentation
kind of
as
have
him,
some
and
offensive
Russell
line
is
issues.
right there
The
with him.
receivers were back,
Yeah,
but Jerry
it's him
Jeudy
for sure.
is
So
good
Russell
but
got cut.
unreliable at times. So you got
The
a
Broncos
tough
have let
number
him
one
know
wide
that
receiver,
he's going to be
and
cut.
not the type of build that he had with him
When we
around the
talked about
Seahawks.
this,
So obviously I still think
pre-production,
he's a good
we
quarterback.
pretty much
I
were
think
like,
he's
well,
been a good
we kind
quarterback
of thought
just
it
in
was
some bad
coming. I
situations.
think we all
Especially
did, in
with
general,
taking a
just
big
from
contract with the
the talks,
Seahawks
but we
and then
didn't know
having
for
to
sure
be
if they
the
were
main
going
guy.
to move
He
forward with him or
never
not.
really
But now
quite
it's
panned out
official.
to be that. Maybe
He's
for that
put out
1-2 year
his
stretch with the
thank
Seahawks
yous
where he's
to
throwing for
Broncos
4,000 yards and he was the
country.
guy
He's
every night. But that's
let's
just not
ride.
him. So
They're
he's definitely
no
more
longer
of
riding
a
anymore.
game
So what's
manager
your
than
thoughts? I'll give you the
I
floor
would
since
have
he is your
seen
guy.
for him later in his career. But as he got older, he kind of lost the ability to run and move around the pocket like he did when he was young, and that's what you have to do when you're a short quarterback. So I'm interested to see where he lands. Obviously, if the Falcons don't get Justin Fields, that might be a good spot for him. The Raiders would be interesting, not a great spot, but a place where they, let him kind of run loose. And then the Vikings, with their Kirk Cousins situation, teaming him up with Justin Jefferson would be interesting and pretty cool. So I still think his book isn't closed yet, but we'll see where he lands, and he needs to get to the right situation to kind of close out his career.
Yeah. I think the right situation for him, and then I have a question for you, but I think the right situation for him is a place that has had a winning record with a particular black head coach that is a phenomenal coach that has said on many occasions that he has love for Russell Wilson. His name would be Mike Tomlin, and I can see him being with the Steelers because the Steelers have a problem at quarterback. Their defense is fine, but he being under Mike Tomlin, who is absolutely going to get you right, it hasn't had a quarterback since then. I think that would be really, really good for him in that spot. Now, I don't know if Russell's going to want to go there because there's a lot that goes into his decisions because of his wife Sierra and entertaining and where they move. That was made such a big thing before, and he's never said that. So I'm just going off based on the reports. It's never come out of his mouth, so I can only take that with a grain of salt. But if I can see validity in that for sure.
I would enjoy that. I think that'd be a good spot.
I think that'd be great. I honestly think that'd be great, and I honestly would love to see that because that would make the AFC North very, very, very interesting. For sure.
You think they're ready? You think they're ready to kind of move off Kenny Pickett?
Yes. Okay.
I don't think
All right.
Tomlin has faith in any of the quarterbacks that he has in that building. Not one of them. Not one of them, because he's
That's
literally played quarterback roulette throughout the whole season and since drafting Kenny. So it's just like at what point, and I'm a huge fan of allowing a guy to grow into their role, because we're now in this NFL that if you don't come in right away and produce right away, that you're considered a bust and you're not even given time to grow. But I think Tomlin feels that he's seen enough with Kenny, and you have Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. Like, think of those three names. I would gladly take Russell over those three names in general, right? So my question for you is, you mentioned the term game manager, which a lot of people are now putting this moniker on him. Do you think that he has to win a Super Bowl before his career is over to solidify his legacy at this point?
Well, I guess it's depending what people are saying his legacy is. I mean,
that he can't win without Pete Carroll, and he was a system quarterback, and him showing that he was only able to win there and then not anything else after, and which is the reason why they moved on from them.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to shed that kind of moniker or that kind of narrative around him, it would be nice for him to be able to do that. Do I think he can now? No, I don't think he's the same guy anymore. I think he obviously peaked not early, but he peaked, right in the middle of his career where most people do peak. He was lucky enough to have, the Legion of Boom around him those first couple years. And then speaking to like what you said, quarterbacks thrown in the fire, like that's the model now. And he was the start of it. Like, get a quarterback on their rookie deal that is able to come in and, be serviceable, be good to serviceable. Pretty much what Brock Purdy is now. Like, because he's paid a little bit of money, they can build the team around him. But once you have to pay that quarterback, everything around you suffers. So it's like, I don't blame teams for throwing quarterbacks right into the fire now, because that's the model that you have to follow in order to be successful in the NFL, unless you have, a premier quarterback like a Patrick Mahomes, where you can just kind of pump all the money into that and then build around them. So, not every quarterback is obviously as gifted as Patrick Mahomes. Most are just serviceable and serviceable to good. So it's just finding that right situation and the right moment in time where everything lines up to with the contracts and all that. And that's what Russell Wilson was. He was very good, but obviously limited by some of the things around him. But when you put a good, solid team around him, he got the job done. Now, I don't even know if that's the case, because he's 35 years old and he's up there. He's up there, and he always had limitations. He was always short behind the pocket. He always had to move out of the pocket. You have to design plays for him to get out of the pocket. Can he get out of the pocket like that anymore? I don't think so. So I'm curious to see how this next stage of his career goes.
That's well said. I don't have anything to follow up with that. I was very, very curious about that. I was also very, very curious about Mike Evans signing a 2-year deal with the Bucs for $52 million when he had an opportunity to test the market. There's definitely plenty of teams that would have been calling to get a receiver like him, a future Hall of Famer, and for him to go anywhere that he wanted. He could have went to a contender. The rumor was that he wanted to only go to a contender, and then they gave him a 2-year deal. Apparently, they are now trying to lock up Baker Mayfield, which I don't know if I would have said a year ago was anything that any of us would have ever thought. But apparently, Baker Mayfield is not going to take the hometown discount, and they're going to pay him. So, I mean, he had a great season this year. I can't knock it. There's nothing. I don't think anybody can say he played extremely, extremely well. I mean, he bounced my team in the playoffs, and then he looked fairly decent against the Lions until a certain time when he didn't look decent. But I mean, kudos to Mike Evans. I guess he just wants to finish his career there, and I can't knock that. There's not too many athletes that get to stay with one team their whole entire career and get a choice to do that. So kudos to him.
Yeah, no, it's he's 30 years old. He's had a lot of injuries the last couple years, so I don't think you can blame anyone for taking the money and staying with a solid organization. It's not bad. Are they a championship team? I don't think so. But for him, that's a solid deal. Tampa Bay got a great deal on a very good wide receiver, and I think he'll just continue to produce as long as he's healthy.
Agreed. All right, let's get to the fun part here.
No, let's do it.
All right, so today we are going to do a nickname draft. This came from a particular nickname, and I'm assuming Harrison's going to use this as his number one pick anyway, so I'm not even going to pick that. But I wish Sam was here so we could do 3 of us and we could have that. So we're gonna do.
We could do 5.
Okay.
Let's do 5 back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll do 5 back and forth.
Yeah.
I've looked up some nicknames.
Yep.
I
Same.
will give you my first one, and it's Big Sexy for Bartolo Colon.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love that.
Big Sexy.
Yeah. All right, that's a good pick. So, like you said, this stemmed from our boy at Indiana State, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So the guy with the white guy with goggles, he's got to be my number one pick.
Yes,
That's for sure.
that is.
Yeah.
That is
We're going
absolutely hilarious.
We're going snake draft, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. So my next pick, I'm going white chocolate. Perfect. Like perfect name, Jason Williams. It fit him perfectly. He was shifty with the ball, passing off his elbows. Just white chocolate. That's my number 2.
Love that. I love that.
Okay.
I'm gonna also go basketball for this one with the round.
Basketball has great ones.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. The round mound of rebound. Mr. Charles Barkley, Mr.
Yeah.
I'm not a role model. Absolutely have to go there. It's great. I mean, he is literally the guy that changed the power forward position before Tim Duncan because he literally changed the position and what has influenced the play of Tim Duncan, and then Tim Duncan changed it again. So yeah, I definitely have to go with that. Next would be, we used to use this guy in Madden all the time. It's the muscle hamster, Doug Martin. Doug Martin.
That's from the vault.
Yep, Doug Martin. Doug Martin, gotta come
That's
out,
from
man.
the vault. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, I'm gonna go. Gotta go. Switch the sport. My favorite baseball player of all time. We're going the Kid.
My favorite baseball player too. Yep.
The Kid. Yep. And then we're gonna switch back to basketball, and we're gonna go with my favorite one, probably my favorite basketball player of all time, Allen Iverson, the answer. So obviously, you got the shoes that are called the question. He's the answer. Just you can't really beat that one. That one's pretty good.
That's great. That's I listen. I love, first off, 2 of my favorite players of all times in their respective sports. Ken Griffey is easily my favorite player. I mean, he's the reason that a lot of people in the 90s wore hats backwards, and reason some people still wear their hats backwards is because of the Kid himself. I'm gonna go to baseball.
Okay.
Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval.
Yours are deep cuts. Yeah.
There's some great names out there, Harrison, and I have to bring them to light for people to know. So there's that.
Yeah.
Now this person,
This is your last pick.
Yeah, this is my last pick. It's going to be a great one. Never Nervous Purvis. Purvis Ellison. Okay? Never Nervous Purvis is such a crazy ass nickname to hear. But I got to give you that. There's that.
All right, I'm kind of stuck. I think with my last pick, I'm in between 2, but I'm in between Kevin Durant's and Irvin Johnson's, but I'm gonna go with KD's just because it sounds a bit cooler. So we're going Slim Reaper.
Slim Reaper.
Yeah,
Slim Reaper.
There's
so
so
many
many
names. We got Vinsanity.
I got honorable mentions. Yeah.
There's a guy. His name is Walt Williams. His nickname was No Neck. Kid you not. You got Wayne Gretzky, the great one.
Yep.
You got William Perry, the refrigerator, right?
Yep, that's a good one.
There's Giannis, the Greek Freak. Lawrence Berra, mostly known as Yogi Berra.
Mm-hmm.
You have him. You have Walter Payton, Sweetness. There's a ton, and the glove, Gary Payton. I'm surprised neither one of us used the glove. To be honest, that's there you go. So yeah, there's There's a lot out there. I'm searching. It's Larry Bird. It's true. It's such a great team, you know? Such a great team, such a great history.
I don't know why it's slipping my mind, but the safety on the Chiefs, he was LSU. What's his name?
Honey Badger.
Honey Badger. Yeah.
Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Tyrann Matthews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honey Badger. Absolutely.
That's a good one too.
Absolutely. He had there's so many great ones. Like I honestly could sit here. The big unit was Randy Johnson.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The Admiral, David Robinson, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan, Big Aristotle, Superman. Shaq has literally
Shaq had so many.
We should have just said Shaq, and then would have just been everything that he had. You know what I mean? Because he had so many damn nicknames.
Yeah. Well, Shaq in itself. Correct. Yeah, Shaq in itself is just a nickname. Like that's for sure. Yeah, he's got some great ones.
That's greatness. Well, all right. Well, this has been another episode of the Chasing Points podcast, episode 126. It's been a very interesting one for me because of all the technical difficulties that you guys won't see. But I'll just give you a little peek back there. But Harrison, thank you for being on. Is there anything you'd like to say before we get out of here?
No. Good. Love the draft.
Perfect. Next week we talk about March Madness, right? March Madness is
I'm in March Madness next week, so I'm out of here.
Yeah. So
I'll be in Atlantic City.
I'll be talking about it in the spirit